Warning, this manga will steal your heart. Hello, I'm Northern Soul Reaper and today I want to talk about the Persona 5 manga Volume 1. This is something that I picked up and it's in one of my latest haul videos. I am a huge fan of Persona 5. Got into the series with Persona 4 Golden on PS Vita. That was a game that I absolutely loved. And then when Persona 5 was announced, I picked up the collector's edition of that and played it through and just fell in love with the characters and the art style. Like, it's one of those games, like, I mean, I think I read somewhere that even the menu had its own director. Like, it's got that much style, like, oozing from it. It's just, yeah, I absolutely love it. And so when the manga adaptation was announced, I knew that I had to pick it up and read it because it's like, you know, favourite game series, got to pick up the manga to go with it. This is a retelling of the game. It is by Hisato MURASAKI. I'm not gonna lie, I'd never heard of them before. A quick Google brought up that they've been an illustrator on a number of different things. So let's get into the review. So before we get started, I will be going into some spoilers of the manga and the game. Just a quick warning there. Volume 1 of the Persona 5 manga tells a story from the beginning of the game to the roundabout. They've just gotten Ryuji's persona in the palace of Kamoshida. One thing I have noticed is that the manga doesn't use the framing device of the interview with Sainijiba. If you've played the game, you'll know that a lot of the plot is framed around, is presented by you being interviewed by Sainijiba in a criminal setting as a criminal member of the Phantom Thieves. So it's like a lot of it is flashbacks. The manga doesn't use that device at all. It just tells the story of events, so far anyway. Not to say that that won't happen later on, but so far it just seems to be that it's telling the story as it is. And what a story it is. Persona 5 has one of the best stories in a video game that I've ever experienced. It's unbelievably convoluted and full of weird quirkiness, but I absolutely love it. It's got that Japanese anime life to it. Like, playing a Persona game is almost like playing an anime, so it's very much suited to a manga adaptation, in my opinion. The manga does a fantastic job of adapting the game. Where you are a silent protagonist in the video game, you're the character that you play as, the main protagonist, Akira, is given a voice in this, because I think they quickly realised that just having a person who's in a manga just standing there not reacting to anything is a bit weird. It kind of works in a game because you're kind of projecting your personality onto them, but the character very much has their own personality in the manga, and it's absolutely to the book's credit for sure. When I was reading it, I didn't think, oh, shouldn't be doing that. It's like, that's me in the game. Definitely thought that it does a really good job of that. One thing I like about this volume as well is Murasaki has managed to capture the unique style of Persona in the writing as well. Persona 5 and all the Persona games have fantastic writing, and rather than just adapting the game word for word, Murasaki has taken time to add in his own touches, but none of it feels out of place. It all fits together. Anything that's added or changed fits what's happening in the manga, but I know that this isn't going to be a 100% faithful adaptation. You couldn't do that, you know. Games are filled with combat and things and situations, and you can't just adapt. It's like adapting a book to a film, you know. You'd love for them to stay totally faithful to it, but sometimes changes are made, and yes, sometimes it's not for the better, but a lot of the time when they change something and it works, and you can understand why they changed it, and the writing is definitely it definitely keeps the flavour of the game. Most of it is just adapted word for word, but a lot of it isn't, and I really enjoyed that they've managed to add their own flair to the writing of the manga. The artwork in this first volume is really good. You know instantly that you're in the world of Persona 5. All the characters look as they should. The world looks as it should. Café LeBlanc, when you walk into there in the manga and you see that it's drawn with such an attention to detail. Like everything from the game that I remember is rendered on the page. That, you know, the mangaka has done an absolutely awesome job of translating the game to manga. I would argue that some of the scenes in the manga look even better in black and white on the page than they do in the game sometimes. It's just beautifully drawn. What I liked in particular as well was the palace. Kamoshida's palace in the game has a very unique castle-like style, and it's drawn really well here on the page as well. The enemies in the dungeon look great as well, and when it comes time for the protagonist to do battle using his persona, Arsene looks awesome on the page, and so does Zoro as well, Morgana's persona. The designs of the personas are always like one of the best parts of the games, and I'm really happy that they've managed to translate that over into the manga as well. It's really cool seeing those personas drawn onto the page, and also the enemies. So what happens in Persona is when you run into a generic, like, so the enemies take on the looks of like something to fit into the aesthetic. So in the dungeon, they take on castle guards, but when you run into them in the game, you get to see their true self. And the ones that you take on that the characters take on in the manga are big, massive pumpkins, and with like witches' hats, and they look really good as well. So I'm really excited in future volumes to see more enemies and what they're gonna look like. There's just so much to look forward to in future volumes in terms of the artwork and seeing different characters and personas and environments. There's so much to adapt here, and it feels like we've got a lengthy series on our hands, because they're not even finished. They haven't completed or gotten through the first palace yet, and we're a volume in. It remains to be seen if that pace is kept up, but so far I think that the amount of content that's in the manga is definitely fitting. It doesn't feel like they've chopped it up into too many chunks to try and sell a series. I like the amount that we got in this manga. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the newer volumes as well. There are a few issues with the characters. There are times when Murasaki manages to capture and embody exactly what the characters look like. So there's a point where Ryuji kind of does the head cock with his shoulders up, and it's like you could be just playing the game. The controller could be in my hand and I could be playing the game. And then there's other times where it's often in action scenes when they're at awkward angles. Sometimes the faces get a little, no, they're not distorted, but it just looks like they had a little trouble taking the video game character and drawing them in a different pose than what would be shown on screen. And sometimes it takes you out a little bit, because the characters that looked really good on one page sometimes don't quite look right on the other page. That's just a really small niggle though. This volume is really good. I don't want to spoil too much of the plot, because even as its own thing, if you've never played the games at all but want a really cool story, like a really cool story that's got a lot of interesting plot twists along the way, you should definitely give this a go. It's published by Viz. I picked it up in the 3 for 2, but it's got a cover price of $6.99, and for that I just don't think you can go wrong. Absolutely fantastic read. I would definitely recommend you give this a go. I'm hoping to do reviews on each volume as they come out, so let me know what you think of this review. Do you want more of a spoiler-filled review where I can go into the plot points a little bit more, or do you want me to just keep it light? Let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a like, subscribing to the channel, and ringing the bell. That's the best way to get the videos as and when they come out. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Northern Soul Reaper, and until next time, goodbye.